Climbing shoes are one of the most important tools that you will purchase in your climbing experience, and unfortunately they don't last forever. They're amazing when they're brand new, but eventually they get to the point where they're not sticky anymore, or you just don't have the grip that you used to, and you may need to replace the shoe. Problem is, climbing shoes aren't that inexpensive, so a nice alternative is to resole them, or if needed, get the rands repaired. In this video, we're going to go through when you should resole your shoe, if a rand repair is necessary, and maybe your shoes aren't worth resoling anyway. Let's get right into it. Hi, I'm Sarah from SendEdition.com. If you're climbing between a V0 and V5, click subscribe right now. I'm making videos just for you. There's a huge learning curve at the beginning of your climbing experience, and I want to help prevent the stumbling that I went through so you can climb better today. When it comes to climbing shoes, there are a couple things that you should consider before deciding whether or not you should replace them or resole them. When it comes to money, the number one recommendation is if resoling them costs more than 50% of the value of your shoe, it may be best to just replace the shoe and not just resole them. Now, in general, the average cost of resoling a shoe for a single slab of rubber, like on this shoe, an average price would be about $40. And for shoes that have two pieces of rubber, like this one where it has a separation between this rubber and this rubber, it usually starts at about $60, but check your local shoe repair places for their prices. In addition to the price of replacing the rubber, you should also consider the fit of the shoe. A lot of times people prefer resoling their shoe because they've already broken into the shoe and they don't want to go through that painful process again. But depending on the material, like leather for example, that continues to stretch the more you wear it. So you may find that your shoes are too stretched out to even make the sole of the shoe matter. For example, if your shoe is getting loose or it's on the verge of being loose, it may be worth just replacing the shoe, because the sole of the shoe would be nice to have nice and new, but you're going to get to the point where it's been stretched out too much, the rest of the shoe, and it isn't worth wearing anymore. So keep that in mind as well when you're deciding if you want to resole your shoe. Now, a lot of times climbers will look at the shininess of the rubber, and that's a good indicator that the rubber has really ran its course and doesn't have much left to give. Luckily, with these types of rubber on the Mad Rock drones, this is the Friction 2.0, I believe. And that rubber really lasts a long time, so it still has some good stick to it, but it is on the verge of needing to be replaced. You also have the thickness of the rubber. Now, oftentimes when you're climbing, you're not paying attention and measuring the rubber as it goes down. So if you're in my situation where you can see that it's kind of running low, but you don't know if it's really low, you can look at the outside corner of the shoe. This part of your shoe doesn't get used as often, and so it's usually a good indicator of how thick it was near the beginning of climbing. Usually if it's about 50% of this width, that's a good time to replace the resole, because if you go any further, you may actually start separating between the shoe and the upper part of your shoe, which would require a rand repair as well, which is almost double the price which is about the same price as replacing the sole of your shoe, so it doubles the price of resoling and rand repair. With that being the case, these shoes are definitely on the verge of needing to be resoled. These shoes, for example, are a great indication of needing a rand repair because there is glue coming off on here, on the corner here. There's also glue coming off on the toe right here. So this one, this heel piece right here is completely coming off. So this shoe itself was already inexpensive when I purchased it. It was under $100 because there's more than just one slab of rubber. There's two pieces. This would probably cost $60 just to replace the sole, and then also a rand repair would probably put it up to the same price as the shoe. So this shoe, recycle that shoe. You don't need it anymore, or hold on to it like what I've done in case of emergency, because for some reason I think in an emergency I would continue climbing with those shoes than I would just with my tennis shoes, because they're probably similar support. This shoe, however, is a great example of a shoe that still has a little bit of life left to go, but it's also a good time to replace the rubber. A good indicator of this is it is really shiny on the toes. The inside of it is really worn, definitely 50% from this piece right here. There isn't any separation between the upper and the rubber itself, so it would be the least expensive sole resoling that you can get of the shoes that I've indicated here. There are no holes, anything like that. So this is a good one depending on how much these shoes cost. So replacing the sole is probably going to be about $40. As long as this shoe is $80 or more expensive, it would be a good one to replace the rubber. Hopefully that was helpful, so you know if you need to replace the rubber on your shoes or if you just need to replace the shoe altogether. If you have any questions or recommendations, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to see them, and I'm sure other people would as well. Thanks again for watching, and enjoy your climb out there.